Even though Christmas and the fall holidays are still a couple of months away, now is the time to think about making those reservations for Christmas afternoon tea, which many hotels and finer restaurants will be preparing for. So once you've found the perfect place, you've made your reservations for two, because you definitely want a friend to help you enjoy this lovely experience, you get dressed up in something festive and you arrive and are shown to your table. Now what? Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sonia and I'm very glad you're here. If you've never experienced afternoon tea, especially in a hotel or a fine restaurant setting, the first time can feel a little daunting. Crisp white tablecloths, chandeliers, perhaps a harpist or pianist playing in the background. It can be a bit of an intimidating setting. But if you at least know what to expect from, say, the waitstaff, what's on the table, and the meal itself, that can go a long way to taking away some of the mystery and calming down that unfamiliar atmosphere. So first, the place setting. When you sit down at the table, relax and look at what's there. You should find in front of you a cup and saucer with a spoon possibly resting on the saucer, a small plate with a knife and fork on either side, and of course a tea napkin, which you should go ahead and place in your lap when you sit down. Now, the tea itself. It will only come in two forms, either loose leaf or tea bags. If you have one of these on the table next to your cup and saucer, the tea should be loose leaf because the strainer is to keep tea leaves out of your cup when you pour. You'll probably be asked to make your choice of tea from options listed on the menu, unless those options are limited, and if that's the case, the server will probably just tell you what they have. If you don't see a tea strainer on the table, you may well be getting tea made from tea bags. In that case, the server might show you a tea caddy or box filled with various flavors of tea bags from which to make your selection. So, after a few minutes, your pot of tea is brought out, it's been properly steeped, and the server may well pour your first cup. Then they'll leave the pot on the table for you to pour as needed. If they haven't already provided it, this is the time to ask for milk or lemon if you want that for your tea. A bowl of sugar cubes with a pair of small tongs is probably already on the table. And if you want artificial sweetener, you may have to request that. By the way, just a tip, putting sugar in your tea first, followed by the milk or lemon, works best for dissolving the sugar. Just don't put milk and lemon in together. You'll end up with curdled tea. Now, in stirring your tea, a back and forth from 12 to 6 motion is recommended rather than stirring in a circle, but that's just to keep the spoon from clanking on the side of the teacup. Some etiquette experts claim the sugar dissolves faster if stirred back and forth. It really doesn't. As long as you stir quietly, I see no reason not to stir in a circle if that's more comfortable for you. Now you're ready to eat. The three-tiered food tower is very popular for bringing out all the food to the table at once, so that may be how yours is served. If so, on the bottom plate of the tower you will usually find the savories, your finger sandwiches and canapes. Any number of sandwich flavors are possible, but some of the most popular are cucumber, egg salad, some kind of chicken salad, and smoked salmon. And that's what you eat first, the savories. Now, some hotels and finer restaurants in England will offer bottomless refills on sandwiches. You can request more and more. But you might not want to do that because moving up the tea tower to the middle tier, you'll usually find the scones and perhaps some tea breads or muffins. And that's what's traditionally eaten next. Now, if the scones are brought out warm, which is a very nice touch, they might have wrapped them in a cloth to stay warm, or they might be brought to the table in a covered basket, completely separate from the food tower. And because they're warm, if you want to eat them first, I don't think the food police will come get you. Practicality wins over tradition in this case. Then at the very top of the tower, you will find your desserts, and sometimes there will be an additional offering of a slice of cake brought around separately. Now, they don't have to bring all the food out at once, but regardless, this is still the typical order in which everything is eaten. Sandwiches, then scones, and finally desserts. If it's tea for two or more, there should be enough of each food item for everyone to have the same thing. Take each item one at a time and put it on your plate before eating it so that you're not literally picking from the tower to eat. Now, in spite of the fancy atmosphere you may find yourself in, this is finger food. Sandwiches and canapes should be eaten that way, unless they're overfilled. And if that's the case, hopefully everything will be bite-sized enough so that it's easy to eat without getting it all on your fingers. But should that happen, no licking your fingers. When it comes to the scones, you should have small bowls or jars of clotted cream and jam to spread on the scones. You take small scoops of the cream and jam and spoon them onto the rim of your plate first before spreading it on your scone, so that you're not dipping straight from the communal containers onto your scone. And your knife is for spreading these items, not for slicing the scone. If baked properly, a scone should easily break in half. And by the way, it's okay to be very generous with the cream, particularly if it's real clotted cream. It's very thick, but no one expects you to put a thin smear of it on your scone like butter. Pile it on. And whether you put the cream on first and top it with jam, or jam on first and top it with cream, that's your choice, but a heavily debated topic if you're in the English West Country, the counties of Cornwall and Devon, where that argument has been going on quite a while. But if you're anywhere else, do as you like. It's an excellent treat both ways. Now, after the scones, time for the little desserts or patisserie, like tarts, petit fours, and maybe a little slice of cake. Again, finger food, even the cake, but only if it's something that stays together well, like a fruit cake or traditional Victoria sandwich cut into fingers. Something that isn't thick with creamy filling or icing. If that's the case, this is when the fork comes in handy, and it might even be a pastry fork, like this one. And there you go. You are done. You've successfully navigated afternoon tea, making it up the food tower through each course while calmly and elegantly sipping your tea. Pinkies down, by the way. If you've never had the pleasure of afternoon tea in a nice hotel or restaurant or tea room, I highly encourage you to give it a try. It's a lovely tradition and a way to take a relaxing afternoon and catch up with friends, a little self-care, if you will. And if you go somewhere, especially here in the States, and it's not exactly as I've described, that's okay. They may be unaware of the way some of it's done. I think that just gives you the excuse to keep looking and trying to find another place in your search for the perfect afternoon tea. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more afternoon tea videos. Until next time, bye-bye.